Today we're driving the 2024 Aston Martin DB12. This is a 4-liter bi-turbo V8 sourced from AMG. It makes 671 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. It is a monster. That engine is mated to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. We have a redesigned interior and a slightly redesigned exterior from the DB11. We also have an electronically controlled limited slip differential, adaptive dampers, and a whole lot of options on this spec DB12. About $65,000 in options. I'll put all the details in the description. What you need to know is that this is painted in emerald iridescent, which is one of the most stunning colors I think I've ever seen. Let's start on the outside, and we'll show you guys what that looks like. In this morning light, with these bronze wheels, wow. The rear end looks very similar to the DB11. There's no DB12 badging anywhere. And there's no V12 option on this DB12, even though that's the first question anyone asks about this car, it being called the DB12. Oh, does it have a V12? You still feel like you're driving an Aston Martin, but I can't help but miss that sonorous V12 exhaust note. Let's take a minute just to appreciate some of the lines on this DB12. Just a gorgeous silhouette, amazing proportions as always from Aston Martin's design department. The front grille is quite large. I love the headlights. The wheels on this are absolutely stunning. The lines, the musculature designed into the hood with the vents. This is a stunning, stunning car. Really sleek. Aston Martin is calling this a super tour just because it does have so much performance. Putting all that performance down on the ground is a set of Michelin Pilot Sport 5S tires. First time I've driven on the new 5S. It is a beautiful tire. I love this sidewall. Kind of this matte black section right here that absorbs all the light. And these are AMLs specific, so specifically designed for this DB12. Taillights and headlights just turned on. You can see the very, very thin LED strip there. That looks amazing. Got this beautiful DRL in the front. Let's take a look in the trunk. There is no way to pop the trunk with a button. In the back, you either have to go right here, next to your window switches, or on the key fob. Aston Martin spelled out there for us. A slightly redesigned logo. And then just enough space for one big going away bag, or a set of golf clubs. Look at those haunches. Just a stunning, stunning car. I love the proportions, love the design here. These wheels are amazing. We have carbon ceramic brakes, a $14,500 option. I believe this color is around $11,000. The Bowers and Wilkins, 10 grand. This interior gets pretty pricey. Leather on these seats is amazing. The materials all feel very nice. New steering wheel, kind of a little bit similar to some of the AMG wheels. We have AMG turn signal stalks and heated steering wheel control, as well as tilt and telescoping adjustment, but that's really the only AMG influence in here besides the engine. Let's pop the hood, take a look. We do that from the passenger side because this is a British car. And when they switch from right-hand drive to left-hand drive, they don't bother to switch the hood release, which I think is kind of cool. Engine bay. This engine is set very far back, almost seems front midship. The front of the engine is almost behind that front axle line. Really nice balance here. Lots of torque, lots of power. Two things about this engine bay. I feel like we lose a little bit of the panache, the excitement, the thrill factor with just the overall design here. It's all kind of dark and boring, lots of plastics. These welds are exposed here. I don't know, I feel like Aston Martin used to have more special looking engine bays. And we also lose the beautiful clamshell hood that opened up on the DB11. That said, this performs amazing. You even get the final inspection by Kieran Coffey in Great Britain. All right, it's a stunning car to look at. Let's hop inside, we'll go drive it, and give you guys some thoughts on what it's been like to live with this week. Also, the doors open up and out. Very cool. All right, let's talk about this new interior. Materials are all very nice. The leather is super soft. I like the steering wheel design. We do get quite a bit of gloss black plastic everywhere in a lot of your touch points, and that does tend to get quite dirty with a lot of fingerprints. So if you have a microfiber towel handy, you're going to want to be using that pretty often. I like all the physical controls here though. We have dual climate control, temperature adjustments for both driver and passenger, fan speed, heated and ventilated seats right down here, which are touch operated, and then buttons here to control some individualized drive mode settings like your exhaust loudness, your traction control, your damper settings. And you'll notice the buttons go from orange to red depending on whether they're in Sport or Sport Plus. Here's your engine start stop button, and you can control your drive modes by turning that. So we've got Sport, Sport Plus, Normal, and then an individual mode, which you can customize to your preferences, as well as a wet drive mode. Over to the right here, we've got some driving assistance buttons, which don't really seem to work, which is interesting. When they're orange, they're on, and then when they're clear, they're off. But every time you key on this car, you have to go in and turn off lane keep assist if you want that off. It doesn't remember your settings. Same with auto start stop. You can marry that to a drive mode, but it doesn't always work. So a little bit of bugginess there in this DB12, unfortunately. It's been a bit annoying having to go in and do that every time I start with this vehicle all week, but it is what it is. The lane keep assist is quite intrusive in this car, and when you're just driving it around normally, it does get in the way, and you just have to go into this menu right here, under assistance, scroll to the bottom, and deactivate it because this button doesn't quite do the job for some reason. We have a couple other pages here. You can edit your individual drive mode. I have mine set to Sport Drive, Sport Plus exhaust, stop start is off, and steering and suspension are both in GT mode. You can see some telemetry info here, which is pretty cool. Change your ambient lighting and some other lighting settings. You've got some comfort settings here, and then parking tones, all that stuff. This does have CarPlay, and it is a wired connection. I believe Car and Driver published that this is wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. It is not. It plugs in right there and won't connect if it isn't plugged in. CarPlay is nice and responsive, and overall this infotainment seems pretty well designed. It's easy to use. There's not a lot of taps to get to different places. It's well organized, and you've got some cool little features here. Some smart climate features where you can quickly cool the cabin, warm your feet, warm your hands, warm the cabin if you don't want to do all that manually right here. So that's pretty clever. Massive paddle shifters behind the wheel. We have Mercedes switchgear here for the wiper stalk, the turn signals, and like I mentioned earlier, the tilt and telescoping on the steering wheel. Here's what your glove box looks like. Just enough room for your user manual. Beautifully designed headliner, nice stitching. You've got these sun visors that only block the front, not the side of your window, but you've got a very cool mirror that slides like this, and it even has a little indent for your finger to go, like that. Here's your lights. Frameless mirror looks really nice. And then we've got this center fully digital gauge cluster, which looks very modern. I do still miss these analog gauges that used to be in supercars. They were so special. Aston Martin literally had the best ones, but everyone's going digital these days. You can configure this in a couple of different views. So you can have this dual pod view or a big center gauge pod with some information on the right and the left. I kind of prefer the former here. And this is a pretty laggy control interface here. There we go. Let's change our view again. Oops. We want this view. Automatic theme. And you can see some more information here. like your fuel economy from a start, from reset, your mileage, your navigation, all that stuff, as well as what driving assistance features are enabled or disabled. You've got your mirror controls down here, window switches, pop the trunk, and then all of your seat controls are down here. You've got 3 seat memory settings. You can adjust your lumbar, your thigh bolster down here, and these seats are fantastic. Very, very comfortable and pretty well bolstered too, while just looking amazing with the Aston Martin stitching here in the headrest. Back seats, they're there, but I don't think you could fit an adult back there. This Bowers & Wilkins sub is beautifully integrated in the center there. That is just stunning. Love that. Everything in here feels very high quality, very special, and most of it works quite well. The only major complaints I've had with this car this week are just some of the weird little quirks with these buttons and how they control things and how they light up. It's kind of like my 3-year-old. He says he doesn't want something when he wants something, and you know, this Aston Martin infotainment is kind of the same way. It'll say CarPlay is disconnected when you connect it, even though it is connected, and the buttons are off when they're on. It's kind of strange, but you learn to live with it, and it works okay. All right, before we go for a drive today, we have to thank our sponsor for this video, Lewis Jewelers. And today we are wearing a very special watch. This is the Omega Seamaster 300M No Time to Die Bond watch. What a better watch to wear in an Aston Martin DB12. This was featured in the film No Time to Die, last film with Daniel Craig, and it is a beautiful timepiece. This is one of the few watches that I've truly been excited about and excited to wear in recent times. Out of everything that's available these days, this is just so, so cool. It's fully titanium, so it's very lightweight. We have this very innovative clasp here, and this mesh bracelet, which at first I wasn't a big fan of, but after wearing it for a couple days, it is just stunning. I absolutely love it. It feels so special. It kind of conforms to your wrist. Unlike the regular Seamaster 300M, this does not have a date. It is a much thinner case, and of course, it's fully titanium. Here's your escape valve for when you're diving. The bezel has a beautiful action, and in my opinion, this is kind of the highest quality and best Speedmaster you can buy. MSRP on it is about $10,000. It's expensive, it's not perfect, but it is effortlessly cool. Very much like this Aston Martin DB12. So anyway, go check out Lewis Jewelers. I'll throw a link to this in the description. Talk to DK, he'll take great care of you guys. He is my go-to guy for all watch things in the Southeast Michigan area. Enjoy this watch on the wrist today, and go check out Lewis Jewelers at lewisjewelers.com. All right, let's go drive this Aston Martin DB12 and see what it's like on the road. We're in individual mode, so that means our exhaust is a little bit louder, and it looks like we've got some wet pavement. So again, some more British conditions to drive in today. Steering is super light in this DB12. Pretty fast ratio too. And on these adaptive dampers, ride is pretty comfortable. It doesn't let you forget that you are in a super tourer GT car, but it doesn't beat you up. We have reasonably responsive paddle shifters. The ZF 8-speed auto is quite good, especially on upshifts. And this 4-liter bi-turbo V8 does sound special. Good visibility all the way around. Love these mirrors. They just look so cool jutting out from the side of the car. We have full manual control down here. And there is a lot of performance here. More grip, more power than you can really explore on the street. What Aston Martin may have given up in soul and character and personality with the V12, they've gained in outright brutal performance here on the street. as you guys can tell from the conditions today, we're probably not going to be exploring the limits. Oh, it does sound good though. And I figure Aston Martins have always had V8s. This is still in keeping with the Aston Martin heritage. Even though it is from AMG, it's a fantastic engine. Very little turbo lag, super responsive. These Pilot Sport 5s are doing pretty good in the wet. Back into drive here. We do get adaptive cruise control. You enable that right there, and then set. And again, kind of a laggy interface between the buttons and what's actually happening on the screen, but it works pretty well. The ergonomics are simple. You also get a speed limiter, which is nice. You can skip 5-mile-an-hour increments by just kind of swiping up and swiping down on the switch. Adaptive cruise control works quite well. You can change your following distance by swiping up and down on this little touch thing right here. However, it's the tiniest indicator I've ever seen for distance control. It's right down there, and you have to have 20/20 vision to see what setting it's at. There's lane keep assist kind of intervening a bit there. And we might film a little bit more later today on this car when the conditions dry up. This is a bit sketchy with 671 horsepower. All of your control weights here are very light. I wouldn't mind just a little bit more heft from this DB12. It makes it very effortless and easy to pilot around, but it doesn't make it feel very solid, and I don't know, it's missing a little bit of something in terms of feedback. Yeah, we don't have a lot of grip today. We have to turn off some more driving assistance features. Alright, we'll turn off traffic sign assist, because that's always saying that it's not working. And then we're going to turn off lane departure warning. That's the second thing we have to disable every time. Alright, now we're good to go. Looks like things are drying out just a little bit for us. So we might be able to show you guys what acceleration looks like in this DB12. Brake feel from these carbon ceramics is fantastic. Nice hard pedal, easy to modulate. And again, once you get some temperature in these brakes, they do seem to respond a little bit better. Let's switch into GT mode. Throttle tuning can be kind of aggressive in Sport and Sport Plus. GT mode settles things down quite a bit, which is nice. like the DB12 has arrived at home here at a golf course. Pretty good turning radius. Again, a very easy car to live with and pilot around on a daily basis. This thing has been an absolute pleasure this weekend. Yellow gauges. They're Sport Plus, and we can kind of detune the dampers into comfort or sport mode. Stiffer in sport mode damper setting. Let's see how it pilots around a corner here. Turn-in is super sharp, and again, because the steering ratio is so fast, you barely have to turn the wheel. Tons and tons of grip from these Pilot Sport 5s. The power is just explosive. Yeah, this is amazing. There's more power, grip, and performance here than I know what to do with on the street. A few shakes and rattles in this interior this week. Nothing too bad, but you know, if you just kind of press some of the carbon fiber bits back in, they seem to go away. Cool factor here is undeniable, and I think for that reason I'd have this over just about everything else in the class. I drove a Bentley Continental GT recently, and it was great. It was amazing, it was fun, it was fast, but I just don't think it was as cool. The way this thing looks, the way it makes you feel when you walk up to it and walk away from it and start it up, the sound of the engine, it all comes together to just be a fantastic driving experience. It's not perfect. There are definitely some flaws and room for improvement here. But I can't get over the way this thing looks and the way it makes you feel when you drive it. It is just so cool, so special, and so freaking fast. This 4-liter V8 just snarls away at you. It's so fierce. All right, so how can we sum up some thoughts on the Aston Martin DB12? Well, it is ferociously fast. The performance here is unlike anything I've ever experienced from Aston Martin, and I haven't driven a lot of modern Aston Martins, I'll admit. I didn't spend any time in the DB11, didn't drive a DBS, so this is kind of new territory for me. It's amazing. It's very, very quick, and the performance, the handling, it's better than it should be. It just really adds up to an amazing package to drive. I do miss the V12. I think this engine sounds okay, but it could use a little bit more character. Still, it makes all the right noises. What about this DB12 as a GT car, as a super tourer? Well, it is very comfortable. These seats are hard, but very supportive, and I've spent a lot of time behind the wheel of this week, and I haven't been uncomfortable at all. I could easily spend a long day of driving in this car, no problem. It is a little bit loud on the road, but that's mostly down to those Michelin Pilot Sport 5S tires. The tech, the integration, the safety systems. The safety systems are the only major complaint that I have with this DB12. There's only a few things that just get in the way with every drive that you pretty much have to turn off right at startup before you set off. The traffic sign assist isn't really calibrated for US signs. It pops up with a European kilometer sign, and it's always just bonging and going off and saying that you're speeding. And that's something you have to go into the menus and turn off every time you drive, otherwise it's just going to be flashing and beeping at you. The next thing, the lane keep assist and the lane departure warning are very sensitive in this car. This is a very wide car, and you don't really have a lot of margin for error in this, clipping apexes or just driving around normally on regular roads without that system intervening and kind of nudging the steering wheel and distracting you while you're driving. So that's another thing I want to have to turn off every time I start a vehicle. It would be nice if Aston Martin just allowed us to save our settings for that, in addition to the auto stop start. For being such a high performance car, it's unfortunate that those are the things that are kind of distracting me and detracting from the daily driving experience, but this is where we are in 2024. Otherwise, this interior mostly feels quite good. I've had a few rattles, a few trim panels that haven't been completely fitted properly in this example. There is a lot of plastic here with your touch points on the steering wheel. You know, it's okay. I just wish manufacturers, this isn't just Aston Martin, there's a lot of manufacturers, we have these haptic control buttons, we have these kind of, these light touch surfaces, and they don't feel very nice, unfortunately. All the gloss black, the dust, the fingerprints, it adds up. It doesn't look great after a couple days of use. But that said, I like the organization of everything here, and I like the use of visible buttons, and that you can quickly switch damper settings, exhaust settings, turn off traction control. These rolling dials right here for temperature and fan speed feel really nice. They have kind of like a knurled finish on them, and same with the drive mode selector. But there are just small parts of this interior that, again, just don't feel amazing for the $250,000 starting price, let alone the $350,000 price this Aston Martin DB12 commands with all the options. Anyway, so it's not perfect, but it's fast as hell, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It makes you feel special when you're driving it, and there's something to be said about that. Let's hop outside, look at this one more time. Yeah. Is this not one of the best looking modern cars on sale today? And this emerald iridescent paint on these wheels, oh, it's got to be close. It is just a stunner. I'm almost willing to forgive it all of its flaws just based on how it looks. Pretty reasonable on fuel too, considering the performance this has. 15 miles a gallon in the city, 22 on the highway. For about a 17 mpg combined rating. It's not bad for 671 horsepower. Alright guys, well that's going to be a wrap for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Lewis Jewelers for loaning us this Omega Seamaster 300M 007 No Time to Die watch. It's been a pleasure to have on the wrist during this video. Kind of made me feel the part driving this Aston. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that on the wrist. Go check them out at lewisjewelers.com. And thanks to Aston Martin for letting us spend some time in their DB12 this week. It's been a pleasure, it's been fun, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's been fun sharing it with you guys too. Anyway, that's it for now. Take care. We'll see you guys in the next one.